Today we're going to show you how to import the body of an email text into an Excel spreadsheet. You might want to do this if you get a number of emails from an automated registration system. It would be handy to put it into a spreadsheet so that you could manipulate that data later. You could create mailing lists and so on. So to get started, you need to locate the email that you would like to import. Now this assumes that you're dealing with just a moderate amount of email and you'd like just a quick and dirty way to one by one use a layman's method to import these things into a spreadsheet. So this is kind of fail-proof. If you want to do something automated, then you'd have to get into some VBA programming. But let's continue with this demonstration. The first thing we want to do, again, select the email. And it doesn't matter, this is an Apple Mail program, but if you have Outlook or some other email program, they usually all have some type of export or file save as. So the first thing I would like to do is save this particular email as plain text. And if you see here, there are some other um, options, but plain text is going to be the easiest for Excel to recognize. And I think just for organizational purposes, I'm going to put a 1 on top of this because remember, say you've got 100 of these emails, you want to number them, maybe put them in a folder somewhere. So that's what I'm going to call it. And that's all there is to step 1. I'm getting ready to put the text of this body. The next step in the process is to get Excel open and start a new document. So I'm going to open a blank workbook, and now I'm going to go to the Data tab. You could also access it up here on the File menu, but if you are using the newer version, I think this is 2011 Excel, and even 2008, I believe the tabs for data and some of these other functions like layout, tables, charts are the same. And it should look pretty similar whether you're using Apple or the Microsoft version itself. So what I want to do is get some external data. So I saved the email as a text, so I'm going to, as you can see, it says there, import data from a text file. So once I do that, then I just have to locate the email I want to use, and here it is. That's my first summer registration email. And if you don't see it, make sure you're looking for text files. So I'm going to say get data. Now it's going to come up with the text import wizard. And what I need to do now is cut this into some usable columns. I know that from looking at the body of the email I'm looking at that there are colons right before every important piece of data. So I think what I will do is use those colons to determine where the cut points for each of these chunks of information will be. So all I have to do is click next because I'm going with that delimited method. And I am going to enter a colon into other here. If I can get that to work. There we go. And notice what it did. It kind of took everywhere there's a colon, it drew a big line, and it put this piece of data, my name, right over from. And eventually we're going to make those columns. But it's a multi-step process. So we're going to hit next because you can kind of see to Ken Berlin from the website. So that's looking fine. And I want to import each one of these columns as a piece of text. Same thing here. So notice as I highlight the column, then I have to tell it what to do. There's some miscellaneous junk in these two columns, so I am not going to import that. It's just less cleanup later. Then I'm going to hit finish. And it's asking me where I want to put this data, where I want it to start, and I'm going to start it up here in this upper left-hand corner, so I hit OK, and there we go. So now we have what will soon become our column headers, even though they're in rows right now, and this will be our data over here. So this is the data in column B right here from our first email candidate. So that's the end of step 1. Now step 2 is similar, but we're only going to import the information we need. Next step in the process would be to retrieve other emails and keep adding them in columns. So each next successive email that you would open, you would import it into a new column. So the first person's email is going to be column B, then the second person's email will be column C, D, and you'll just continue to move along in that manner. So I am going to position my active box in Excel here because that's where I want to import the next column data. I'm going to repeat the process. I'm going to go to text, and I'm going to select the second summer email that I converted to a plain text file. I'm going to say get data and go through that same process. We're going to cut this up using the delimited method. Again, entering a colon because that tells me or tells Excel that each piece of important data is following a colon. That looks pretty good. And then here's one important part. This line here from subject date to from, if you notice in column A over here, we already imported that once. So we don't need to import it again. That'll just be more cleanup later. So I'm going to skip that. So for each successive email that you import after the first one, you always want to skip that first column because those are the identifiers. This is the important information. So this column here, I am going to import as text. We did this before. I'm going to skip these two junk columns. So essentially, I'm just importing this next important piece of information. I'm going to say finish. It wants to know where to start. Of course, right here, because I want to lay it right down that column. And there we go. And you can see that Tom Hanks is coming to this particular summer acting camp. So now we have a couple people here. Oh, look at that. He's been coming for 32 years. How nice. But he only does wear a large shirt. I'm sure that's due to his role in Castaway. He's still pretty slim. But anyways, moving on, I am going to clean this up. The final step in the process is to clean this spreadsheet up and get it into a format that's more useful for doing mail merges and other data manipulation. To get started, we need to get this column of identifiers to be displayed horizontally across row number 1. And this is actually very simple. I'm going to select all of this information, and hitting the Shift and the click key will let you select just the area that you want. And then I'm going to copy that information. And I think I'm going to start a new worksheet in this workbook. So just hit this plus sign there and see it created a new blank sheet. Now your original data is still back here preserved. So back to the new sheet. I'm going to paste special. And basically I want to paste everything that I copied. I'm not moving any formulas or operations. But here's the key step. Click transpose. And this will turn columns into rows and rows into columns. And just like magic, you can see now, if you select everything with this corner diamond and then double click a column, it spaces everything out. And you can see I have identifiers up here across the top. And I think just to make that easy to look at, I'm going to make those bold. And some of this I don't really need though. Like I know who it came from. I know what the subject is. The date might be important for various reasons. I don't need that. I know it came from a website. You can see, here's just that date again, and we already have that once. So I'm going to get rid of all that. Oops, I did an Excel no-no there. I'm going to delete just a couple at a time. Yeah, all this looks unnecessary. The subject, we know what it is. This is just part of some time that was left over. A column, Now here's some other things I don't need. And this order, this looks important for this particular automated form. It gives you a date and a unique identifier. So I'm going to leave that. I'm going to get rid of some of this stuff here. And now we're kind of getting down to it. Camper's name, age, date of birth, those are all very useful things. Email address, yeah, we want all that. Look at the addresses are in neat little containers there. And the rest of this, oh, years attended, we will keep that. That could be important for this program. T-shirt size, and looks like their registration total is in this particular column. So I'm going to just rename that like that, and then get rid of the last couple columns that are really not populated with any data. And now you can kind of see what this looks like. And of course, you could sort by age, you could sort by registration date, etc. Well, here's emails, so you could quickly email all these people with an Outlook or an Apple Mail email merge. Just very useful to have text data in this format. You want to save that, and that's all there is to it. I hope you have enjoyed this presentation and found this technique useful.